Good afternoon. Today's presentation is discussing the F-14 and how it dominated the skies. The F-14 was designed in the late 60s during the Cold War era between the USA and the USSR. And it was designed at a time when the US Navy was looking for a replacement for the F-4 Phantom, which was on its way out of service. Originally, the Navy had planned to use the F-111B. Unfortunately, this platform proved ineffective in all of the testing, so they looked for another design. During a design contest, the F-14 Tomcat design won out over the others. The F-14 was designed and built basically around the AIM-54 Phoenix missile. This missile, coupled with the long-range radar of the AWG-9 set, allowed the F-14 to dominate air superiority and combat fighter aircraft of the day. Now, along with the weapons radar was also an engine that went along with this. Originally the Pratt & Whitney, later replaced by the General Electric. But these twin engines enabled the F-14 to reach speeds up to 2.3 Mach, which is over twice the speed of sound. Also, it gave it an incredible range of 1,600 nautical miles and could fly to a ceiling or a height of about 50,000 feet. Now, because these engines were very large and powerful, they allowed it to actually reach that ceiling height very quickly. The F-14 had a climb rate of 45,000 feet per minute, so it could easily reach its maximum cruising altitude in just over a minute. Now, I spoke about the F-14's weapon system. The AWG-23 or AWG-9 weapon system used by the F-14 allowed the F-14 to track up to 24 targets, and also it allowed to fire on 6 of those targets simultaneously, all at a range of up to 115 miles away, which was beyond visible recognition. So before the enemy fighter ever saw or detected the F-14 on their radar, the AWG-9 radar allowed the F-14 to lock on and fire the AIM-54 Phoenix missile. Phoenix missile also named the $1 million missile because of how expensive they are. Now, all of these things combine together to make a just phenomenal fighter aircraft in all theaters of operation. Later on, during Desert Storm, the F-14 was rolled into ground support, not just carrier or air-to-air combat. It found a new role in ground attacks. The F-14 actually has a confirmed kill from one pilot of 11 enemy fighters. This was actually carried out by a fighter pilot named Jalil Zandi of the Iranian Air Force. Iran was the only other country besides America to have the F-14, as in 1976, before the last Shah was deposed, Iran actually placed an order for and bought F-14 aircrafts from the United States. Those aircraft are still in service today, even though the U.S. decommissioned the F-14 in 2006. Now, several periods throughout history utilized the F-14 heavily. In later years, they started dwindling away with the rise of aircraft such as the F/A-18 E and F Super Hornet. But the earliest combat missions flown were in 1974. Now, while they weren't really combat missions, they were in a theater of active combat. It was in 1974, the withdrawal from Saigon. This was the first real active duty that the F-14 had seen, even though it had taken its first flight in 1970. Then again, the first major action we saw was, again, in Gulf Storm, the first one, and then Gulf Storm Part 2. It actually also saw combat action in and over Kosovo during 1999 with Slobodan Milosevic and Operation Allied Force. I actually took part in that. I was stationed on board the USS Theodore Roosevelt, CVN-71, where I worked with 2 squadrons of F-14s, VF-14 and VF-41. Then again worked with VF-41 when I deployed on the maiden voyage of the USS Truman in 2001 to Operation Southern Watch, which is over Iraq, patrolling the southern no-fly zone at that time. Now, a lot of this information basically skims over just the barest features and abilities of the Tomcat. But another important feature that the Tomcat had was that in the 80s, the Tomcat was featured heavily in a film called Top Gun. This was a movie that starred Tom Cruise, but became a recruiting poster child for the U.S. Navy. It also strengthened the feelings and support of troops at the time. Now, with all of these advances and everything, as we approached the 4th and 5th year of our war in Iraq, the Navy clearly saw a need for a new plane. The FA-18 Super Hornet had been being tested and was a suitable replacement, the Navy felt. A lot of the hardcore F-14 guys, myself included, believed this was a mistake, but times change. We have to advance. So therefore the F-14 was retired and we moved on. But forever, in a lot of memories, when you think of a fighter pilot, you think of that iconic image of the F-14 Tomcat. Twin tails sticking up, swept wing configuration, flying through the air, taking out the enemy.